Welcome to the show, gentlemen. Congrats, Patri and Sheeki. How's it going?
Doing well.
Doing amazing. Happy to be here again.
Great.
Yeah, for the fourth time. Patricius is the most visited guest on this podcast. So today we have a new guest, Sheeki. Would you like to tell us something about yourself, Sheeki? What do you do?
Yeah, so I've been in the crypto space since 2015. That was the first time when I got to know about Bitcoin, and just went into the rabbit hole. And now, I'm very deep into the stuff, farming, trading, and everything. If there's money to be made, I'm there. So this is all I do, all day, every day.
Wow, 2015. How did you come to know about Bitcoin? What was your source?
I wanted to buy a laptop, so I was searching various websites, and on a website there was something called Pay via Bitcoin, and that was the first time I read about Bitcoin. And I've always been interested in new technologies, and Bitcoin was something I didn't know anything about, so I read about it, and I've been very passionate about internet privacy and stuff, so it kind of hit the cypherpunks movement as well. So yeah, that was it.
So, gentlemen, for this episode, we'll be going through all the basic concepts related to DeFi. Before we move into this, what is all those statistics that Patricia has shared in all those servers? I think you recently shared something that the APY was about 3-4 million%. What was that?
Yeah, so that was a new fork of Ohm with sort of a little twist. It was on the AVAX network, and it was a snowbank. Now, everybody knows, I'm assuming everybody knows about Ohm. So when Ohm came out about its reserve currency ICO, a lot of people, and it's been working after so much time, a lot of people noticed it was good, and this is what's called DeFi 2.0. And there's been a lot of forks happening. Of course, a lot of these forks are not good. Some of them are scams, some of them are bad. But Snowbank, basically what Snowbank is, when a fork launches in the beginning, they have to attract people. So, and Sheeki will correct me on this, but I believe they have to attract people. So they push the API high because they need to build the liquidity. Also, you got the bonding in there, and so that's what it is. Of course, it's no longer trillion million APY anymore. Now it's in the millions or the thousands, but it's maintaining in there. How they do it behind the mechanics, I am looking into it, because it's higher than most of the forks out there. Unless Sheeki could share. I know Sheeki doesn't like Snowbank, and I agree with him. But this is why I put a small amount in there to see, to play it risky.
Well, I think you shouldn't assume that everyone is aware of what's Ohm fork. We should go through the absolute basics. So, Sheeki, would you like to define what is a fork?
Sure. A fork is whenever you have something working and you just copy the code, change the name, and just publish it again. For example, the biggest example of fork is SushiSwap. It was the first working Uniswap fork, which really took off. It was in the early 2020 DeFi summer. So they just copied the Uniswap code, added their token, and they wanted liquidity. So that's why they added their token. This is called a vampire attack. A vampire attack on the main protocol. You suck their liquidity into your protocol by paying out token. So that's how Sushi got its start.
And why would people prefer a fork of the original, protocol? So why would people go to SushiSwap instead of Uniswap when they know that Uniswap is the original one?
Yeah, it is. But at the time, when Sushi launched, they launched with their own token. So when you deposit, you are getting high APY in the form of Sushi token, and that's at Uniswap, you're earning, let's say you are in the USDT, USDC pool, it's a stable pool, but you're earning 10% per annum. And the same pool in SushiSwap, you can earn 100% just because you are earning trading fees plus the Sushi token. So that's why people will want to go there, would want to use any fork. But not all forks are safe. There are rug pulls.
Hype of the new one.
Yeah, hype of the new one and to earn money. But not all forks are safe. There are rugs, there are scams, there are everything. So have to be safe.
Pretty characteristic of the crypto space.
Yeah, exactly.
Gratz, would you like to add something?
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about DeFi. Like I was in this virtual conference the other day, and it said, right now it's $1.7 trillion within the DeFi ecosystem, and that's over the next 4 years. It's at pace to grow to like 100 trillion in 4 years, and just that statistic alone has my brain racing to see who are going to be the winners in the crypto native and then in the traditional finance sector. And I think the companies that are dealing with some of these issues right now in DeFi, which, you got rugs, you've got insecure smart contracts. I guess the question back to you guys is, what do you think DeFi looks like in 4 years?
Very interesting question.
Good question.
Safer. The most basic thing that will change is an easier UI and an easier UX for everyone to take part. Like right now, there are many things that people are hesitant to do because they don't know how to do it. They don't know how to move around Uniswap. They don't know how to provide liquidity or how does impermanent loss works. So the platform which makes all this easy and easier to explain for the end user will be one of the winners. And then, of course, we have the fundamentalists like Chainlink.
I do agree with that.
Like it's the backbone of DeFi, the graph, and all these will be the winners, the fundamentalists.
What do you guys think about compliance? So right now, in the current landscape, at least in the US, they're coming after stablecoins, right? They're coming after Tether, USDC, DAI, all of them. The ones backed by collateral, different kinds of collateral, fiat or different crypto assets. So what do you guys think about how will that impact DeFi in itself, right? So I think compliance is a big thing, and I think the pitchforks are coming out and governments going after stables, which is a big way that DeFi grows and that total value locked as well as liquidity moves from chain to chain.
So a decentralized stablecoin is the holy grail in DeFi. There have been some working on it, MAME and etc., but they aren't truly decentralized. But regulation-wise, I say let them come, and they can't really regulate it. They can only marginalize it to some extent, but that's all they can do.
Yeah, just to add, Grads, I get what you're saying. I'm in the same boat, and to the decentralized stablecoins, I think is the only way. And if it fails, I guess the community will find a way to adapt. If there's one thing I've noticed in DeFi so far is they're adapting really fast, and it's exponential. I don't know. I don't have enough experience in that, but I believe the community will figure out a way. When something is evolving with technology, I think they'll figure out a way. So we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm just saying. But yes, that's a threat. It's considered a threat.
The biggest resistance that I feel while participating in this decentralized finance protocols, it's the gas fees, because everything is on ERC20 and the gas fees is crazy. So do you think there will be some improvements in that, or will it be switching completely to a different chain like Solana?
Of course, there will be improvements, but not everything is on Ethereum, and there are L2 Selvans, like there are Phantom, AVAX, Kronos just launched, but it's not that good. BSC, maybe Solana as well. I'm not a big fan of Solana, but there are many chains. You can, if you have less money, you go with Matic. You can farm on Matic. You can farm on AVAX. You can farm on Phantom. You can do the same stuff that you can do on Ethereum, but on the other chains.
And which protocol generally provides the highest APY?
Depends from time to time. If you want to go with safe ones, there are Sushi, Curve. They are on every chain.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, that was interesting. Yeah. Sheeki, why are you not a fan of Solana? That'll be interesting to hear, and for the audience as well.
Yeah, because in my opinion, not really my opinion, as far as what I've read is, the Solana is the only legit Ethereum killer in the current market.
No, it's not.
It's not? Okay.
There's
Yeah,
no Ethereum killer.
expanded on it, Sheeki. It'll be interesting to hear. I mean, I don't disagree. I'm just listening out there, and I'm sure grads too.
Yeah, so it's just, first of all, let me tell you, it's my personal bias. I just don't like Solana because I don't like Solana. The other thing is, like, it's centralized, it's heavily centralized, and like it went down. It has already went down twice for hours. So that's not an Ethereum killer.
Okay, those of
I'm not an ETH maxi, by the way. I'm not a maxi. I'm not a Bitcoin maxi. Not an ETH maxi. I'm only a profit maxi. But yeah, nothing can kill
those are
Ethereum.
valid points, because as a decentralized community, we want stability and decentralization to the max. So, grads, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a preference. I think one of the things that I got stuck in when I went through my first cycle was the fact, like, you do pick a chain. But what I'm seeing right now and what I think is happening is the real winners just leverage different blockchains at different parts of their cycle to maximize their APY if you're an individual retail investor, right? You can use your liquidity cross chains, which, you know, the smarter players have done in the last year to maximize, you know, new efforts, new value locked in each chain. And I think that there will be multiple chains in the future, and the real winners will be the ones like Sheeki outlined at the start, which are ease of use for customer usability, right? So that's retail and traditional finance. Mix in compliance. So I'm not a big fan of the KYC AML, but I think that for traditional liquidity to come into the market, that's one of the biggest barriers. A platform that's globally compliant, maps well to legislation in the different districts around the world. And, you know, there are projects out there that are offering this type of platform and ecosystem, and just excited to see, you know, what it looks like 4 years down the road, because the last 2 years have been just crazy exponential growth. And anyone who says they know 100% where it's going is 100% full of it, because no one knows where this all is going. We just know it's growing.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with some of that. Just because I don't like Solana doesn't mean that I won't bridge there, or if there's money to be made on Solana, I won't go there. So just, if you want to be a maxi, just be a profit maxi. That's what I say. But, you know, remove your personal preferences, your personal biases, and just go ahead with it.
Yeah, I think that stablecoins is such an interesting topic, though, currently. Not only from regulation, but like what it's backed by. So I just like shared 2 pictures with you guys on the thread here, to show how different stablecoins will be backed. And I think, you know, this is being, this was a presentation from one of the global conferences, and for like the big institutions and then the big crypto native institutions that are working on this as well. And, you know, one of the projects that I've been reading about is Mint just came to Sovereign. So Mint is a stable coin that is backed by Bitcoin. And, you know, that was an interesting concept to kind of go down the rabbit hole on. And, you know, I mean, it's tough to spend time learning. It's like learning through doing, learning through self-education, and you make guesstimates. But I mean, this space is growing rapidly, and stablecoins is like a big part of the growth. So I think the next 3 to 6 months, it'll be interesting to see what legislation's put in place, but also, you know, what are the technology advancements from a backing perspective and what works.
Yeah, I recently watched a video that Luna is also launching their own stablecoin, and its mechanism is pretty interesting. So when there's higher demand, so Luna will be burned to mint their stablecoin, and when the demand is low, I think this is how it will go, that the stablecoin will be burned to form Luna, something like that. So what are your views on Luna? Because I know a lot of people who are heavily bullish on Luna.
Yeah, so they already have the stablecoin. It's called
Oh, they already
USD. It's
have.
an algo. Yeah, it's been they have for some time. It's called USD, and I'm also pretty bullish Luna just because they have a strong community, and they don't have many protocols on there yet. They only have 8 protocols on Luna, and the TVL is in the top 5. Like, if you compare all the chains, they are in the top 5. And then they have a Mars protocol launching soon. What Mars is, it's a money market. You can borrow and lend. So a money market is essential to every chain, I believe. And it will just send Luna ecosystem up. I'm in the Mars protocol beta. I've been testing it for some time. It will launch late this year or early next year. So it will be good for Luna. Like we saw it with the growth of Matic. We saw it with the growth of Matic, AVAX, and Phantom. Whenever money markets launch, the TVL just flows in because you can borrow and lend from the same platform. You can borrow your you can supply your Bitcoin and Ethereum, and you can borrow against them. So you don't have to sell anything, and you're farming with high APYs. So money markets are essential to any ecosystem, I believe.
Speaking of which, now that you've just mentioned lending, staking, borrowing, so let's elaborate on this first, and then we'll discuss further upon it. So what is lending? And how can you lend? What are the platforms, centralized or decentralized?
Yeah, so I don't do any centralized platforms just because I'm in the space. So why do I go centralized when there is everything decentralized available? But lending is you lend your assets, you lend your Bitcoin, Ethereum, or any coin to a platform, and you are earning a percentage APY against it. So the most popular and safest one is AVE, AAVE. And then there are some others as well, Compound, Cream, but don't lend on Cream, it's always getting hacked. And on other chains, AVE is on.
I think even Compound got hacked recently, I suppose.
Yeah, Compound got hacked.
I read a tweet from their CEO.
Yeah, in the past it has gone hacked. So the safest one is AVE. AVE is on multiple chains as well. It's on Matic, it's on AVAX, and it's on Ethereum. And then if you want to do it on Phantom, there's a fork of AVE called Geist. So these are the major lending platforms.
Okay, so to summarize, so what is lending? So you lend your Bitcoin / Ethereum or any other coin in exchange for stable coin.
No. So in exchange will be borrowing. So when you lend, you just give your Ethereum, let's say, and for that you are earning a percentage of Ethereum.
Yeah, so you want me to take a crack at it, Sheeki, and correct me? And also Grads. So what you're doing is you're entering the protocol, you're engaging in a smart contract, which when you're pushing the lend button, you're engaging in a smart contract, and this smart contract takes your, it's a code, basically, mathematical code and coding and all that, and that takes your coins deposited in the smart contract, which does the lending. Then from there, that smart contract enables you to borrow at a certain percentage and all that. So basically, you're engaging in a smart contract. Did I get it right, Sheeki?
Yeah, when you're lending, basically someone else is also using that platform to borrow the same coin. And when that person is borrowing, he's paying a fees. And then all that is taken into account, and you are earning a percentage. So it's like a bank, decentralized bank. That's it. But there are no third parties to go to. You are the direct borrower and lender.
The yields are amazing, and
yes,
I was gonna say everyone's hitting like you can't lose right now, right? Like you can lend on it feels like any platform and you're winning, right? But we're in a bull market, and I don't know when the cycle ends and we become bearish again, but people have to understand that there are risks to it as well. Like projects fail, tokens fail, and we're in a crazy, global economic situation right now. So people are taking, pretty high risks. But I mean, the concept is pretty revolutionary because you have on-chain providers of borrow, lending, staking, and you also have centralized solutions as well. But just to be able to, you can think of it as digital real estate, really. If the underlying asset is slowly over the cycles growing in its value, then essentially you don't have to incur taxation, and you're essentially doing what the wealthy have always done, which is leverage their assets to purchase, expand either businesses or personal material wealth. And I think that concept for most was never taught. And you're learning through doing it on the blockchain, or you're learning through doing it on these centralized platforms. But it's pretty revolutionary if you can sit back and understand, like, the underlying assets are accruing in value at a faster pace than the appreciation of the loan. So it's essentially free money, right? That you're taking a risk with. But I mean, it's personal financial freedom, right? Once that clicks for many of us, it's hard to kind of go back. Like, you never go back.
I don't look at my bank anymore. I don't even go there anymore. It's true. I hate them. It's too long.
I mean, yeah, and yeah, just to expand on what Graz said, of course there are risks. The biggest risk is being the smart contract risk. That is, if in case the protocol gets hacked or something, like Reem just recently got hacked for 114 million. So there are smart contract risks, but Aave is generally considered the safest, and it has been battle tested. The more battle tested a protocol gets, the safer it is seen.
Yeah, so it's important for people to know the protocols that are safe. So guys, if you're going to tell the audience, if you guys are going, follow the people and follow the protocols that have been battle tested and not been hacked to keep it safe. At minimum, and this is not me saying it, this is from the community in BTB, your safest bet, if you don't want to gamble, is BTC, ETH, and Link. That's it. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, don't get seduced by the crazy APYs. So this was the basic concept of lending and borrowing, which is basically what all the banks do. Right? You deposit money and they give out loans. So let's explore the other aspect. What is staking?
So I'll go and somebody will correct me. So basically, staking is let's say you're on Aave and you have the Aave coin. You can stake it, and by staking it, you're getting the more Aave coin and the fees from the trading. So you're essentially increasing your net worth into the Aave coin by staking. So staking, what's the word by staking? Basically it's the government's token, but I guess it's somebody help me out on this about what's a simple way of saying staking, a Sheeki or Graz?
Yes, staking basically changes from platform to platform, how they have their rules, and let's say. So with let's take Geist, the Aave fork on Phantom. They have their own token called Geist. You can stake it, and when you stake it, you earn a portion of the platform fees. So that's staking in the context of Geist on Phantom. But basically, yeah.
Yeah, from a technical perspective, when the blockchain, the blockchain is essentially wanting it to become secure. So people that lock up, those tokens in a node, either when they are running or when somebody else is running, they get paid. They get incentivized to leave their tokens there because, they're getting paid back in tokens of that network. And the reason why this is important is it helps decentralize these nodes. And the more decentralization of the nodes and the more nodes and participants within the network helps raise the security of that blockchain. And then as Sheeki and Patrice kind of went over as well, there's different unique creative ideas where, the dApps that sit on top of these offer their own tokens, which, get paid in staking their token. You get access to, some of the expenses of the transaction that occur on their platform. A lot of people are doing unique things in the space as well, but essentially, you're incentivizing retail to participate within that network, and the more participation within the network, the higher value it is, and that's kind of what I see.
Yeah. So what Grad said, that from technical perspective, that is what ETH 2.0 is doing. It's changing its basic proof of work model and moving towards proof of stake. So you will stake Ethereum and make the network more secure, and in return you will earn more Ethereum.
Before starting this podcast, you guys were discussing something about yield farming.
Sheeki, I think this one's
So
for you.
would you like to elaborate on that as well?
Yeah.
See, I personally come from more of a trading perspective, and these core DeFi concepts, I know them theoretically, but I haven't really used them.
Yeah, so yield farming is basically your when a new platform launches or new protocol launches on any chain. So you are just farming for their token by providing assets and liquidity. The crypto.com is an exchange. They recently launched their own chain called Chronos, like Binance Smart Chain. And on Chronos, there's an exchange called VVS. It launched a few weeks ago. I've been farming it since the last 4 or 5 days. And what VVS does is, what I did is I provided my assets. I provided my Ethereum and my CRO token as liquidity. And in return, I'm getting the VVS token. So I'm yield farming the VVS token. So this is basically what yield farming is you provide liquidity in form of tokens, and in return you get the tokens of the platform you are providing liquidity on.
Okay, and where do you put your Ethereum for farming? What is the platform?
Okay, so for VVS, it's on their own website, vvs.finance, and it's on the Chronos chain. Every platform have their own website, have their own DApp. You can connect your MetaMask
every
wallet.
blockchain. I was gonna say every blockchain has these decentralized exchanges that are popping up, and essentially it's the same incentivized model where they have staking. They have trading first. They have staking. They have single side staking. They have pool staking. And then they start building up the adoption, and first movers to these decentralized exchanges really reap the benefits at the start. Like maybe Patrice can talk about his Joe, but essentially if you can go online and say, what are the dApps, which these are in each ecosystem, and you can just see it's just exponential growth. So if someone's interested in participating in these use cases where essentially you're market making, you're taking your liquidity and putting it into these different applications to increase the value of that network, you can do it in every blockchain's ecosystem. There's many different products out there. I think that's the uniqueness of everything. If you're able to take a high percentage of liquidity into these different applications, it's just exponential growth, especially if you get in at the start of the S curve.
Grad, so you're talking about Joe, like Trader Joe?
Yeah,
yeah, so example, on Trader Joe launched, it was example, it's like I believe it's a fork of sushi because it has the same feeling and the same mechanics. So it was new on the AVAX chain, so I got into the Joe token early. It ramped up, plus I staked it, so I staked it to X Joe. I was earning fees, and it was just insane. I sold half of it and moved on to something else, but that's still in there. On top of it, I stake it on right now on Beefy Finance, which is a yield aggregator, which auto compounds on top of that. So it's just crazy, 80% and above. So.
But you remember about 9 to 10 months ago, we were discussing on, buying our own domain, like Nishmeet.edh, Patri.edh.
Yeah, if you would have bought it.
Yeah, we would have got about our 1 or 2 Ethereum.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Yeah, the $50 ENS would have airdropped. Yeah, funny.
Yeah, man. Missed out on a huge opportunity.
Yeah, there's opportunities everywhere right now. You can't.
There are
Yeah,
opportunities,
everywhere.
exactly. In this ecosystem, it's just too many opportunities. Like the only thing that is I have way too less capital to deploy, and it will never be enough because I can't have enough bags of some coins.
Yeah,
Like they are already so heavy, but I still want to ape more, and it's just so many opportunities everywhere.
it's best to make smart moves and get good opportunities than to make too many moves and get rugged and all that. I'm sure Sheeki could tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on what's your bandwidth and what can you handle. If you want to spend time, if you want to be in this, if you want to have exposure into all the ecosystems.
Sheeki, in the past 6 years,
Yeah,
have you ever got
of course.
rug
I mean,
pulled?
that's the cost. Of course, yeah, that's
Yeah.
not even a question.
No. He also got
Yeah, recently.
he also got unrugged, which is amazing.
Can you tell us about that story?
So there was this coin called Tau. It was a fork of Ohm. It was the first fork of Ohm actually launched just after Ohm launched, and then it just dumped and crashed to oblivion. And then recently, I don't know why it started pumping, and got back to my buying price, so I just sold it off. It's been like 7, 8 months, I think. I got back to where I bought it. But yeah, just talking about rugs, that's the nature of the game. You make 100x and you get rugged. So it all happens.
It all depends on the person's risk portfolio. You have to take into account your risk portfolio. I mean, you could keep most of it in BTC ETH Link there, but then if you want to have that little edge to just explore the space, yes, deploy a little capital and explore.
So a strategy, what you can do is if you can keep everything in BTC ETH and Link, but you can take some portion of BTC ETH and Link and provide on ARV and then borrow stables in return a safe amount and then just play around with those stables.
Patricius, have you ever got rug pulled?
No, not yet. I haven't got rug pull yet. Not yet. I lost, but not the complete rug pull. Like I lost, let's say the max I lost was 200, but that's because of a bad decision. But I did not get rug pulled.
Okay, good to know. Grads, what about you?
Yeah, definitely. I think once it's hard, right? Like, it's hard to disseminate a true signal through the noise. And one of the greatest things that I love about the blockchain ecosystem is like you learn by doing. Like, you can consume content, which is great. I think everyone has a position, has an idea of what this is, but no one has the full landscape view. No one can really understand the ins and outs of every blockchain, every product, every unique protocol that's being built. And I think the real winners are the ones that are participating through trial and error. And I think once you do that, you have edge, right? You have, I want to say, like, the process usually is like you get involved through centralized exchanges, you buy and sell, and it's like a trader view. And then next, you kind of get a ledger, or you get a hardware wallet because you understand the importance of security and the vulnerabilities like on chain. Like I almost got my MetaMask wallet ciphered by clicking a link the other day on a Discord server, and thankfully I had set it up to my ledger, so it didn't get drained. But the next is, I would say, participating within the blockchain ecosystem. So like Sheeki, right? Like he doesn't see value in the centralized exchanges because he understands he could do it himself. The rest there is, I don't know what country he resides in, but is the taxation, like how you report these types of transactions to the government. But once you're inside the ecosystems, like the APY, the staking side, like if you have liquidity, if you make one good smart decision and you sell and then you have enough liquidity, like you can just use that in every single blockchain that you want. So There's unique opportunities and it comes with risk, but I think my suggestion would be participate, because the more you're interactive with these protocols, with these use cases, with these products, I think the more you'll understand that it's not going anywhere, and the farther ahead of the herd you're going to be.
Yeah, so you can read all day, you can learn all of it, but until you pay the gas fees, until you get rug pulled, you won't really understand what it is. I mean, these are the learning fees that you pay. People cry about paying gas, but they don't try anything because of it. But they don't realize there are other platforms where you can try. There are other chains where you can try the same things without paying gas or paying like 2 cents on Matic.
I just want to say something from my experience up till now, and at the beginning I was just about thinking about APY and all that. This is before grads helped me out to start with BTC, so I thank you on that. And then eventually I migrated myself to ETH and started playing around in there, and I was just chasing after APY. But now, as we're in DeFi 2.0, which is Ohm and all that, now what I'm starting to realize and what I'm starting to go after is, what is this protocol, the protocol meaning like, let's say Ohm or whatever, what is this trying to solve? I'm starting to go with, okay, is this trying to innovate something new in the DeFi space, or is this just a fork and just trying to pump APY? This is what I'm learning more of this now. So I believe it's a thinking people should have now that we're moving further ahead and into the pushing the innovation in the crypto space.
Yeah, fundamentally.
Yeah, go ahead, Sheeki.
Yeah, fundamentally, if you invest in looking at the fundamentals of anything, you believe in them, you have conviction in the fundamentals, so you are not bound to go wrong in the long term. And even if the token dumps, just because you had conviction, it doesn't bother you. But otherwise, like I said, chasing the high APY, the VVS, which I talked about earlier, the farm on Chronos, I don't have any conviction in it. I know it's a short-term play. Whereas a fundamentally sound project like Ohm, I have conviction in it, or Temple, I have conviction in it. So even if their price goes down, I know that it will recover in the long term, or they will do well in the long term.
Yeah, it's important to know what is the protocol doing. How does the tokenomics work? I think that can help you make a decision.
Yeah. Not just the tokenomics. Yeah. What do they do? What are they bringing? And all that. So yeah, lots of factors later.
And grads, I believe on your side with VXV, UOS, and all that, I think that's clear cut. Exactly what Sheek is trying to say.
Yeah,
and ALBT too.
Yeah, I mean my whole thing is these are all cycles. The token price is cycles too. But once you get to a certain amount of liquidity and passive income on chain, then you're kind of fine, right? So you can weather the storm. I started with Bitcoin when it was like 3,000 and had a good base, and then started participating in the more risky asset, like the digital assets. And then I think once you hit one big project, you have the liquidity personally to participate in other ones, right? Like you have the ability to kind of go into different ecosystems. But for longer term plays, for me, what I look at is, what real world problems is it solving, and who's taking down barriers for institutional money to flow in. Because I think we can all admit that people have gotten pretty rich off of just staking. Like if you bought 1,000 tokens at, I don't know, if you bought like below $1 of some of these projects that, 2 years ago were like nothing, and have staked that, like that passive income stream now fuels your participation in all ecosystems, right? It's giving you liquidity essentially to trade for other tokens or fiat or whatever you want. But what I've been looking into are like revolutionary tech. So like one of the big ones I love right now is Alliance Block, because cryptographically they've solved one of the biggest institutional barriers, which is KYC AML, through the protocol itself. They kind of have a decentralized identity play, which is better than a holistic centralized identity play, which I've seen in the space working in it. And then their ecosystem has market makers cross-chain. So, if you have a Goldman Sachs, the Wall Street firms using that platform to provide liquidity for market making for different projects, that's a good ecosystem to potentially have the ability to stake in the future. And then, some unique things they're doing is they've run AI on their system to see what your participation rate is. And the more you engage with their ecosystem, the higher your social score is within their platform. And then they're rolling out products like funders, which will give you visibility to like Series A projects that are coming up before they hit the mainstream. And then they're figuring out ways for the individual to monetize their data as well. So Alliance Block is fascinating to me. And then the other one I would say is like vector space AI. I think AI, we've just moved into the true era of AI, and you're not going to beat AI as like an individual. Like it's too fast. It's too crazy. So like if you have the chance to own like data sets that feed that AI, like those are projects that I've been looking into as well. So, hedge funds buy data sets, AI data sets from, some of these providers, and they use it to formulate traditional baskets. DXV is one of those projects that, sells the data, which is the oil of Web 3.0. And I think that one was fascinating to me as well.
So just to continue, and I from there I branched into UOS, which is like for gaming. I know Sheeki doesn't like UOS, but so far so good for me. I got it really cheap though, so I don't think it's gonna fall below for the under $1, which I got it at.
Yeah, there's a vast amounts of short-term, long-term plays here, and you just have to look at your risk profile and your portfolio and understand what risk you can take right now and what the end goal is. So once you define that, I think you have exponential opportunities within the space, and it really only takes one project to take off. Like if you got into AXS before like under $1, like that's crazy. That's life-changing wealth that you've created. So there's going to be more projects like that. I think that the challenges that we'll see in the ecosystem as it grows from like 2 trillion, I think we're at maybe 3 to 100 trillion, is where's that institutional money going, and what's stopping it currently. And if you can front run those projects, I think you buy back your time, which is kind of the game in my head, right? We do all these things to find financial freedom, to buy back our time, to spend it where we want to. And I think that's the fascinating part about blockchain, is that you have that opportunity in an exponential way to do that through your activity and research and profile.
Okay, gentlemen, moving on. There is another concept that we should discuss. It's about flash loans. Recently, I saw a lot of hype about this on Twitter, like why flash loans is not mainstream yet. This concept is so brilliant. So, what is flash loans exactly?
Okay, so flash loan is not common because you can only code it. Like there are no UI available, a good UI for flash loans. So many people don't know Solidity. That's why they can't really do flash loans. But what a flash loan is
A quick addition that Solidity is the language to code smart contracts, right?
Yeah, on Ethereum.
Yeah, so just would like to add that.
So
Okay, continue.
yeah, so there's not a good UI, and most people can't code in Solidity, and that's why they are that common. But the most popular tool for is, if you can code, is MEV/Flashbots on GitHub. And Flashbots is like the most popular flash loan tool, and not just for flash loan, it is also used for MEV, which is called minor extractable value, but it is another concept which we can go in later. So what a flash loan is you take, let's say, $1 million from a protocol, and then if there's an arbitrage opportunity elsewhere, arbitrage is if price of a token is $10 on one exchange but $15 on another exchange. So you buy $1 million worth from $10 and sell it on the other exchange for $15, and then you keep the amount in between as your profit and pay back the loan that you took of $1 million in the same block. Like, this whole transaction has to happen in the same block or it will fail. So it is a fill or kill transaction of flash loan. The borrowing, the arbitrage, or whatever you want to do with it, and then the paying back with interest or with whatever fees of the platform. All of this has to go in the same block.
Okay, that sounds very interesting. And what happens if both the transactions are not in the same block?
No, then they fail. Then you won't be able to borrow. It's a fill or kill. Either it gets filled or the order gets killed.
Yes, I think in the last episode we discussed about the EIP 1559 update, but today we've had a new update on Bitcoin, the Taproot update. What I've heard is that it has increased some security on the Bitcoin blockchain.
Yeah.
Maybe the safety and stuff. So what is it exactly?
Yeah. So there's a concept called Schnorr signatures. It added that, and the multi-sig transactions. Earlier, when you did in Bitcoin, you could see that this transaction is a multi-sig transaction, but now it has changed. Increased privacy, so now it will be shown like a normal transaction, so you won't be able to figure out which is a normal and which is a multi-sig
and
transaction.
Which is regular.
So chain analysis is screwed.
Sorry?
So chain analysis, which is one of the analytic company that Visa acquired, they're screwed now. But it's good, right? It increases privacy and it increases the ethos of what Bitcoin's trying to do, which is, protect the sovereign individual. So, I think it's awesome that, the code continues to be updated and, provide the mission of what I think Bitcoin set out to do.
Yeah, it took 3 years for Taproot, but yeah. Slow and steady.
So, okay. I think this is pretty much it. What say, gentlemen? Any closing statements?
Yeah, I would just say dive in, right? It's complex, but in complexity, alpha is made. Solutions are made. And you can personally benefit this. The more you learn, the better educated you are, the more you participate. I think the higher your financial net worth will be in the future. So, just participate, jump in. It's not going anywhere.
Just figure out your risk profile first.
Be safe out there, and just, if you're not, go with your risk profile. And that's all I gotta say.
Oh, before we end this, would you like to suggest any resources to get into DeFi? What are your top resources?
So for me, top resources, and when I started, it was just Google and reading of countless hours every day. But now it's Telegram, Twitter, and Discord. But I have followed a few people and I know the resources. So that's why it's Twitter. But yeah, follow some good accounts on Twitter. The best accounts are not the one with 1 million followers or 100K followers. The best accounts are under 20K followers, I'd say. That is where the real alpha is. The lower the followers, the better the alpha.
That's true. I would also say, who is it? Mazzari. right? If you're into reading white papers, and Mazzari has a pretty good thumb on all the innovation taking place within the ecosystem. So some of their content is pay for, but some of their content's free, and they come out with reports that map very well to where institutions are going, but also unique projects that are taking place within the ecosystem. So I think that's a centralized place that people can go and start reading through. I think they've done a lot of great reports, and I've worked with them personally in the past, so I think that's a great resource to have. They give them really good insights.
Yeah. Messari and Delphi both actually. There's a Delphi as well, DELPHI. They are also into research wing. And a resource for Web3 is useweb3.xyz. It has some courses and some articles of everything Web3.
Yeah, just to add, and when I started, I did a much more simpler route. So I did teachyourselfcrypto.com. I find it very informative, especially if you're at zero knowledge. And then I went on YouTube and I did finematics.com. The YouTube video Finematics. I found them really good. And then if you want to venture into, and I really suggest Ohm is really stable.
Yeah.
Go look on YouTube's on Ohm. That's amazing. That's the yeah.
Yeah, what I'd say is, all these resources are good and well, but I think the best one is still Google, because when you are, keep in mind that if you are reading something, you are also reading into the biases of the article's writer. So if you read multiple articles of the same thing on Google, like if you read 10 articles on the same thing, you are essentially reading 10 different viewpoints. So that in general increases the exposure to the ecosystem. So Google would be the best, I'd say.
He's been in the game too long. You're definitely right. I would say it is funny. Like the more you participate, you follow people. So if you go into an ecosystem and you pick out like a new decentralized exchange, follow them on Twitter and see who responds and like who has unique insights about that. Because if you can find some, Twitter profiles that are like really well knowledgeable, like and then follow them into the Telegram and Discord groups, like you're essentially getting into projects or getting an understanding of a project before the market does. And I think that is where true alpha is made as well. And sometimes it's luck, sometimes you get rug pulled, sometimes it's you get your first 100x, right? So I think what Sheeki is saying is very true. The more mainstream it is, it means the more credible, the more, investment will flow and see it as a credible investment. But the unique thing about the crypto market is like the true natives, the ones that have been in the ecosystem, understand like things are being built right now that will be brought to market that are 10 cents on the dollar that will be $100 in the future. And those are the gems that everyone talks about, right?
Just remember that everyone has their own agenda. They're pushing, everyone wants to pump their own bags. So in the end, just do your own research and form your own conviction. Don't follow others. Don't
and
follow
if you find a team, work with the team
conviction.
together to achieve your goals. Find the common goal.
Okay, so I think this is the end of the podcast. Thank you for tuning in, gentlemen. Congrats, Patricius and Sheeki. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate this very informative podcast. Thank you.
Thanks, Nish.
Take care. Thank you again, Nish.
Sure, thanks.